Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. We haven't had a look at the store-bought Phalaenopsis for a while. This is it's effectively a never-ending project. These orchids were bought specifically to be grown in the home. They are the only orchids that get grown in the home, and they always have been. So that was the nature of the project, basically. It was to have some orchids grown in the way that many of you grow. Twofold purposes. One, to see if I could do it. I'm used to having a grow room environment, you know, with a very high humidity, airflow, circulating fans, heaters if necessary, all the stuff and paraphernalia. These were bought in a store, hence the name, store-bought orchids, with no choice, no casting my experienced eye over the plants or anything. They were bought as pretty blooms must have. Absolutely, undeniably. There was a sea of Phalaenopsis on a large rectangular table, all bunched up together, still in their cellophane. So the spikes bolt upright with a stake, cellophane. You couldn't see the plants hardly because they were buried down inside. And literally I just looked across that table and picked out orchids, looking at the blooms. No looking down to see if the leaves were okay, no trying to check the roots, none of that. I just bought them literally as seen via the blooms. And we've brought them home, we've repotted them several times along their journey. They'll be due again. I don't know when, I'll have to have a look. But certainly, last time they were repotted as an experiment, they were done in different media. Some were done in large bark only, some were done in large bark with the cocoa husk mixed in, and one, so I say some, one, and one was done in pure cocoa husk, I believe. So yeah, next time they get repotted, they'll probably all be brought round into the same media, because the experiment of trying the different media, quite honestly, hasn't made much difference to them. They've done their own thing anyway. Right, so that's how the project started, and it will go on forever unless all the plants die, which is unlikely. But if I can't afford the heating this winter, it might be their time. Anyway, one at a time then. This one is doing roots and leaves at the moment. This was the second plant in the pot with another one. I'll say which one when we get there. But basically there were two plants in the pot. This was the smaller. And as far as I can remember, I don't think this one's ever bloomed yet. But it's grown an awful lot of roots recently. And there's a lot of root activity down in the pot. Yes, a lot. There's still new roots coming now. And growing tips on all of these, including a branch on this one. So I mean, this one's growing nicely. Another new root coming down here. So yeah, soon, in the not too distant future, it would be nice if one of those things coming out of the stem wasn't a root and was actually a bloom spike. But it's grown new leaves. It's doing okay. This is its latest new leaf pushing out, so it's doing okay. I mean, it's a nice little Phalaenopsis. As I say, I don't think that one's actually bloomed. Right, let's switch to the one that was in the pot with that one. That would make sense, wouldn't it? And it'll be the other one that hasn't got a label, basically. Yeah. It'll be the one that hasn't got a label, which is this one. I'll tell you why, because this one effectively needs moving out, because that was added into the project later. So that wasn't one of the originals. These are the originals here. And they had trade names, and what I've done is I've left a label in one, and that's the one that there was just one of. So what's left is the two. Right, so this is the so-called bigger one, and again this one's been doing quite a lot of root growth lately. There's new roots coming out, some of which have gone down in the pot, carried on growing down there, and some of the roots have extended in the pot. So there's a good deal of root activity, and we've added leaves. We've grown some new leaves. This one is heading for maturity now. So again, it's growing well, it has bloomed, and it's doing fine. So those two go together. Then the other one that isn't doing so well, now this one's lost a leaf. This one had an accident. My fire alarm went off, and I was reliably told that if you waft a cloth vigorously around the sensor, it'll shut down. Because it wasn't a fire, it was just me cooking. My steak got a bit smoky and set the alarm off, basically. But this one, because it had a spike at the time, it got beaten onto the floor. It literally got knocked down to the floor. And yeah, it's recovered. I mean, it's okay. But it did get a nasty fall and seriously damaged one leaf quite badly. As far as the plant is concerned, this is the least nice looking, simply because it's got where leaves have been lost. Yeah, but it's growing okay. I mean, it's got a lot of root activity, and it has grown this new root since its accident, and it's doing okay. Now this is the one that's in pure cocoa husk, and I think when I come to repot this, there's going to be some root loss. Yeah, so that may not have been that successful, but nonetheless, I mean, this is where most of the root activity is, and when I come to repot it, that's going to be fun, isn't it? Because most of those root tips are probably going to break trying to get them back up through the pot. So those are the three originals. This one has a trade name of Amsterdam, which means the other two haven't. They had a different trade name. And then this one got added into the project simply because I went to Burnham's, and I can't walk out of Burnham's without a bag with an orchid in, at least one. And this particular time I didn't see anything I really wanted, and I thought, well, let's get a Phalaenopsis to add into the project. So this one joined the project later. It's recently put up a good spike, branch spike. I think they're all open now, are they? No, there's this little one here still to open. Either that or it's going over, one or the other. But these are nice blooms. They're a good colour. I like them a lot. As a mass-produced Phalaenopsis, these are quite attractive. Nice blooms. And I leave that label in so that I know that that's the one that came from Burnham's late. Now this, I was just going to say, and this one's fragrant too. It's that flipping radiata over there is coming the whole length of the grow room at the moment and getting up my ooter. Right, so this one has got the least root activity going on. When I got it, it was in bloom, obviously. You don't very often buy a Phalaenopsis that's not in bloom unless it's a rescue, I suppose, and you take the risk, you know, not knowing what the blooms are going to be like. But this one didn't have very good roots. It wasn't in very good media. It's been repotted, and there is now some root activity going on. So the roots are recovering, but there won't be much root activity going on or leaf activity going on while it's got that spike on it. Once that spike finishes, which I've got a feeling, yeah, the blooms that I touched are actually quite flimsy, so I think they're going to go over soon. It's been open some time, I must admit. I'll put a pop-up as to how long the blooms have been open. They may or may not be going over, I'm not sure. But once the blooms, I'm not one of these that, I was going to say I'm not one of these that hopefully gets a branching spike. I always cut the spike off and give the plant a rest. But in this case, we might have an exception. I don't know whether that's going to be in focus, but that node there already has a branch starting. So if this spike was removed here, that would extend and produce some more blooms. And as it's a reasonably straight spike, I may let that happen. I don't normally, as I said, once the spike's over, unless it's one of these that only opens 1 or 2 blooms, and as one fades another one opens. There are some like that. This is not one of those. It opens all its blooms. But we may let that one extend, just so that I've got some colour in the kitchen. And that's what a lot of people do with homegrown Phalaenopsis. So again, trying to grow these in a way that, you know, others may well be doing. So, but this is the one with the largest, strappiest leaves, that's for sure. And it's the one that's least hydrated. If you look, that leaf is badly dehydrated, so it will drop soon. It's not going to plump up. That's it. It's gone too far, and that will leave me with 3 leaves. These are okay. These are all plumped up. They're good, but it's literally because it hasn't got as many roots as the others. So it's not, you know, technically it's not doing as well as the others. So there we go, an update on the store-bought Phalaenopsis. They're okay. As I said, this is probably the weaker plant. This is the scruffiest plant. And these two are growing nicely with good roots to back them up. So, and these two should come into bloom in the not too distant future. Now it is said that they need a drop in night temperatures and possibly a drop in day temperatures as well. Well, after the heat wave that we've been having, I've had quite prolonged day and night temperatures in the house, way above what would be normal, and good temperatures for Phalaenopsis. That's their happy zone. Well, now that heat wave's finished, day lengths are getting shorter, and in addition we have cooler temperatures straight away. So I'm pretty sure these may come into spike very, very soon. Anyway, quick update on the Phalaenopsis, and see you next time.